Thousands of U.S. public school employees have received warnings that they could lose their jobs as the nation's education system grapples with mounting financial pressures. Bloomberg's Erin Hudson has been following this story, and she joins us here in New York now. So, Erin, when you were reporting the story, enrollment appears to be kind of at the center of this thing. Why are there fewer students attending public schools at the moment?
Yeah, so enrollment is a huge issue, and basically the birth rate in the U.S. has been declining since 2007, but what really pushed this over the edge is that during the pandemic between 2020 and 2022, U.S. public school enrollment lost 1 million students. So that was it was already something that districts were grappling with, but that loss during the early years of the pandemic really has become an ongoing challenge. And enrollment is just such a key metric for schools because that's where they get their state funding. It's based on the number of students they have.
Okay, so very well put. Of course, costs across the board are rising as well, creating these budget pressures. Is the response everywhere just layoffs, or are there other options for districts?
Yeah, the districts try to take every option before they cut staff. And when they do have to go to cutting staff, they start with the administrative positions often before they get into the classroom positions. And you do see a sort of counterintuitive situation with some districts where, as they are making cuts and reductions, they are also having to hire teaching staff. And sometimes that's because of mandates like a class size mandate that requires smaller classes, so more teachers to staff the smaller classes. And in some cases it's based on results, so students need extra support in learning.
So what does this mean for school districts and, because this is real yield, investors in school bonds?
Yeah, so for the districts themselves, they're really under pressure to manage their budgets. And when you have these trends of shrinking enrollment, rising costs, that investors and analysts expect that means school closures, more staff reductions in the future. And for the analysts and investors, what they're really watching for is when the budgets are trying to be adjusted to account for this loss of students, how do the school districts' credit weaken as a result of whatever measures they're taking? And if that's the case, ultimately that means borrowing will be more expensive, which is ultimately borne by taxpayers. But for some investors, there is an opportunity there, because if yields go up, if credits weaken, yields go up, that's an opportunity potentially for them in a sector that is not known for high yields.